This is something that we've been meaning to tackle for a long time, and with the recent information coming out about Mel Phillips, it just ties right in with all the claims against Pat Patterson. So we're going to kind of do a two-for-one on those gentlemen, or lack thereof, today. So we'll start it off with this WrestleMania single lawsuit has been filed against WWE Vince McMahon and Linda on behalf of the 5 Ring Boys who survived sexual abuse by former WWE announcer Mel Phillips. So a little bit more on the lawsuit. So on Wednesday, there's a lawsuit filed that allegedly these men were groomed, exploited, and sexually abused by former ring announcer Mel Phillips. Survivors only recently learned of the depth of the knowledge that McMahon's and WWE had about what happened to them, and that sexual abuse in the company started at the very top with McMahon's. While speaking to John Pollock and Ray Person, Episode former Ring Boy Tom Cole's brother, Lee Cole commented on Linda being listed in the lawsuit. Linda McMahon is the master of the cover-up. What Vince did is Vince walked out of the boardroom that very last day when everybody was meeting there, and he said, "Linda, take over." Linda took over. Linda was in charge of my brother. Linda was in charge of covering up the Ring Boy scandal. Linda was in charge of going out and finding people. She was part of it, just like she was part of many other cover-ups that went to covering up for Ash and Sorrow. This is what they've done over the years. And then Rolling Stone even had their own take on it. Said in the complaint, John Doe, a 13-year-old in 1981 to 1982, was attempting to avoid physical abuse at home. Describes the grooming process that began with Phillips giving him access to an arena and locker room area, including a private room over which Phillips had control. The day they met, he alleges Phillips groped his genitals but tried to play it off like a mistake. According to the complaint, a few weeks later, Phillips stripped down to his underwear in his hotel room and wrestled the boy, suffocating him while disregarding his protest, massaging the boy's legs and licking his bare feet. This was the start of an escalation cycle of abuse that John Doe alleges. And if you're wondering who this Mel Phillips guy is, because I know a lot of you are like, who? Former announcer. So if you haven't been watching the classic Golden Era, he's one of the announcers they had at the time. So, yeah, a lot of crazy shit has come out about this Mel guy, but first off, I just want to share Tom Cole's side of the whole story about what's going on, because he's the one that really got this ball rolling on the whole lawsuit.
Well, the last day my brother was alive, and I got text too. I put text up on my show to show it. He sent me text originally, and then I was concerned about him. I called him, and we were talking on the phone for about 2 hours. And he told me, he said, "Lee, let everybody know what these people did to me." And I remember saying to him, and I got the proof in the text too. I said to him in the text, "Tom, what more can we do? No one's listening no more." And Tom said to me, he says, "Lee, I know you, and if you keep it up, I know that something will happen." I never thought anything was going to happen. When I came on YouTube, I went into the mob genre. I built a successful show there. And the reason I came back here was because of Janelle Grant. Janelle Grant's show came out. He was being abused by so many people. Right away, they don't want to believe her. They'll say, "Oh, she took the money," and all that stuff, but they don't understand what being a victim is, and every victim acts different. And the reason I came back to this was because of Janelle Grant. Vince's biggest mistake, and Vince, I don't know if you listen to this, but that woman was the biggest mistake you ever made. He got greedy, he got stupid, and he just opened up the door. Vince self-destructed. And now it's only going to get worse. I'm sure more Ring Boys are coming forward, and believe me, I know they're coming forward. His own worst enemy brought himself down, and we have to thank Janelle Grant for opening that door.
And he's absolutely right. Janelle Grant really opened up that can of worms on the other side of Vince McMahon that we don't look at. I mean, this channel, we've always spoken highly of Vince's booking in comparison to Triple H. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's no 5-star dinner, but at the end of the day, it's miles better than what Triple H has to offer. At the same time, we have to hold these people accountable for what they do outside the ring. And from the allegations that we've been shown that Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon both knew about what happened. And wrestlers are coming forward and talking about this Mel Phillips guy. Even Shane Douglas recently shared a weird story about Mel. He saw him on an airplane doing something very questionable.
We were flying from California to Honolulu, and it's like, quick turnaround, no hotel check, everything, fly in, spend the day at the beach, shower up, go to the rest of the airport, red eye out. And so we're flying during the day, all those flights, like a 7-hour flight. They'll feed you, and they tell me to put the window shade down, and the plane's completely dark, and we go to sleep, because it's a long flight. Well, I was up in first class, I got bumped up, and I was traveling with Boston freight trailer, and during the flight, I'm not sleeping, I'm thinking, well, the last thing I want to do is go around the airport, the last line to get your rental car or whatever. So I'll jump right off the plane, look at the rental car. Ray, you go to the baggage claim, pick up the bags, and I'll pick you up and get out of there. So I'm going back and look. I'd seen Mel get on the plane earlier. Then he comes on, walks past. Then a couple younger kids come on. Like it's closely people connect to the brain. They look very young. They can't be, being flown around the country. Parents must know who they are, or they're born to look younger. And so I go on, and during the flight, the shades roll down his face black. So I'm going back trying to find Ray. And darts are like sort of, let's see now. But now he just closes his eyes. I wasn't paying attention. But as I walked by, Ray was sitting right behind him. As I walked by, I stopped him. I caught my attention was he was looking at me like this. Got a blanket for me. Just like staring at me. Why staring at me like that? Like frozen there for a second, then underneath the blanket. I see something running down. I'm like, what? Seriously, dude? Like, what the fuck? And his closed eyes, I wasn't paying attention, but it was staring at me like that. Maybe stopped and like stared for me. When I saw this, and years later at the ECW arena, there was a kid that was setting the ring up, and there was something scratched my brain. I knew this kid somehow. I thought he went down and said, "Hey, what's your name? I know you know him." And he ran out of the building and I never saw him again. Those monsters do that to children. That kind of stuff to children. And do it so openly. You're on plane with 300 other people. It's, you wonder if those are the things that you're looking at. You're seeing, here and there in that video, here in that company. You then have to wonder, like, every night you're in a hotel, what's going on in this building?
And that's how it was back in the day. It was very much the Wild Wild West. It was, you don't see about it, you don't speak about it. That's how it was. It was very much under the table. People got away with a lot of shit. There weren't surveillance cameras. People were ratted, especially in the business. If you ratted other wrestlers out, you would have blackballed yourself. You would have got your ass beat. You would have been kicked out of the company. You would have been put on indies. So they very much, I'm sorry, that's such a great point you just brought up. Like, it's a lot of people ask me, why did this come out sooner? And why is it coming out now? Because I think you hit on it, is that there's this thing where it's like, you better keep your mouth shut if you want to, if you know what's good for you. Kind of thing going that happened to the rest of the business. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's just what I'm trying to get across to people is that this is something, and especially back in the day, you had to be careful because WWF has been the number one in town for a very long time. And you don't want to fuck that bridge up. If you fuck your bridge up in WWE, Vince has other promoters on speed dial, and he can call up and say, "I don't want you booking this piece of shit." And because they want to, keep it good with WWF, they'll do that. And it's just how it is. But I came across a strange tweet that guided me down a path I didn't know existed. So this guy nationally published troll was saying WWE had a video of Mel Phillips molesting a child. They spent decades downplaying the abuse and their involvement. So this is his claims, by the way. But he directed me to a website called Babyface vs. Heel. They had this FBI memo show Bureau disregarded videotape of Mel Phillips sexually assaulting a ring boy. How the 90s DOJ inquiry into the WWE shifted from child sexual abuse to steroid distribution is murky but newly unredacted FBI memos gives a hint as to where it went wrong. So here you have on 8393, the U.S. Attorney's Office acquired the videotape entitled blah blah blah, which is believed to show Phillips' unusual foot fetish. For information on the issue to date, the New York investigations have identified 10 victims of Phillips. So a review of the tape by NYO shows Phillips lying with a child with the foot in the crotch area for extended period of time. All victims have stated that Phillips placed with their feet for extended periods of time between a half hour to 2 hours in duration. New York has subpoenaed Phillips to grand jury, but was told by prosecutors he will take the Fifth Amendment. New York would like to indict Phillips on sexual abuse charges, and the videos consistent with BSU sexual abuse guidelines. So another part was subject Mel Phillips has a strong sexual preference for young adolescent boys, which focuses around his foot fetish. His recruitment, education, and manipulation of these boys is consistent with the behavior of hundreds of boy lover pedophiles studied by the BSSU. His focus on the feet and his apparent lack of more overt sexual acts is less common. Although his activity with boys feet is most likely sexual behavior, the material furnished does not provide conclusive evidence of this fact. In context, the videotape provided is of little evidentiary value because it was taken in a public setting and contains no obvious sexual activity. In other words, in a ring. Too many alternative explanations could be offered by Phillips for its content. Most problematic is the fact that no alleged victims are willing to admit to or describe the sexual nature of their activity with Phillips. This is the big problem here until now. So here we have this guy was saying, pursuant to our recent conversation, we will be happy to provide complimentary tickets to John Maloof and his son, and there will be 2 tickets waiting via the Will Cell window under John's name at the Worcester Central. We have also made arrangements for our photographer, Steve Taylor, to take pictures of John's son with the WWE superstar. When John arrives at the arena, he should ask for that star. Please be advised of John's approximate arrival time so we can coordinate with Steve's schedule. If I can be of further assistance, give me a call. And further on that, documents obtained by Mushnick and the Post and Discovery would show that Maloof had sent a copy of the tape to Titans private investigators at Fairfax Consultants, later renamed TSFX, at some point in 1992 in exchange for autographs for his son. Just shady shit. This just further suggests that the video was of particular interest. Over 2 years later, in November and December 1995, in the New York Post, it would be reported that the Observer story was planted by Marty Bergman, the brother of legendary 60 Minutes producer Lowell Bergman, and secret financee of McMahon and defense lawyer Laura Bravetti. Through full of redactations of names of living persons, among other things, Bergman's own FBI file, which I obtained under the Freedom of Information Act, appears to line up pretty closely with the 1995 reporting, and a little bit more on that. At all times relevant here too, Mr. Maloof was unequivocally expressing a desire that Tepper not be given a copy of the videotape in question. My concern then and now is that Mr. Mushnick would have made a copy of the tape and provided it to Mr. Tepper against Mr. Maloof's desires in order to further harm my clients. So what this was definitely WWF working with Mr. Maloof to make sure that the wrong party, aka Phil Mushnick, did not get that tape. Because if Phil got that tape, especially right around the steroid trial time, it would be game over for WWE. People don't know the ramifications of what I just read them. If they got that tape, we might not see WWF nowadays. That to me is a bigger deal than the steroid scandal. Them covering up for a pedo. Yeah, this is indeed true.
Well, 100%, especially back then, people really, they weren't as desensitized to the shit as they are now. So, like, if that would have come out back then, if Phil Mushnick would have for heaven and earth to get that story out there and get people outraged, rightly so, yeah, there may have not been a WWF afterwards, because a lot of people don't remember that back in 97, WWF was having financial problems. Like, they were getting close to bankruptcy around that time. And yeah, dinner literally is the reason why WWF is still around today.
Absolutely. And it doesn't make things better. You try to look at these legends with nostalgia. You try to respect them, people like Bobby the Brain and Gorilla Monsoon. But when they joke about this shit on camera, you gotta question it.
For next week, you won't want to miss is Hillbilly taking on the Genius. What a matchup that's going to be. If the Genius had an IQ of 3, he'd be 4 ahead of the Hillbilly. As Mel Phillips would say, that match will knock your socks off.
Did you get the foot fetish joke right there at the end?
Yup.
Phillips' unusual foot fetish. They're talking about socks being knocked off. That's fucked up, man. That's really fucked up.
I know.
Good God. Well, the first person that really got us, our eyes open to the whole situation was Paul Orndorff. He went on a news show a while back. We covered it on the news, but I'm going to go ahead and resurrect this clip just so you can get Paul Orndorff's perspective of what was going on backstage.
84 to 91, you're with WWE. Did you ever hear about some of this kind of awful behavior, any of these allegations? Does any of this sort of sound like the Vince McMahon that you knew?
Yes, it was pretty regular. You heard it on a regular basis for the most part. Then you would hear it for a while, and then it would come full circle. But it wasn't, so much Vince as it was the people that he had surrounding him. You're talking about a industry where you have young, good-looking, well-built men in the ring, half naked, 3/4 naked actually. Excuse me. So yeah, it left the door open, and you have a lot of people around them, vice presidents and bookers that were very much into that, and they put you in a really, really bad situation, especially once you started making some money. You kind of get comfortable with that, and then you find out that your job's on the line. Either do it or get fired. And I witnessed quite a few that walked away. Money wasn't worth it for them to go that route, so to speak.
What had happened to those people that you're saying? And you mentioned that you heard Paul quite a few that walked away. What had happened to them that made them want to walk away?
They were asked to do things, sexual things, with other men that they did not want to do. My former partner being one of them, and I was actually in a cab ride in Washington. And we were coming back, and the gentleman next to me kept saying, "It's not worth it. It's not worth the Benjamins. It's not worth the Benjamins." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "It's not worth it." And I said, "What are you talking about? What's not worth it?" And he says, "It's just not worth it." And we got back to the hotel. The next day, we were filming it for our second TV taping, and he was gone. He jumped on a flight and went back home and never showed up again to wrestle. And he had an unfortunate accident, hit his head, and passed away while he was asleep. He had a bleed on the brain.
Did he ever tell you what it was that he said wasn't worth it?
He didn't tell me who. He just told me what to do what they want.
So yeah, Paul told you a little bit about the type of shit that they were going through. Paul had to deal with that shit too, especially with Pat Patterson. Pat was well known for his strange proclivities backstage, and a legend, a true legend, not in his own mind like Mr. Roma here, but a true legend, Roddy Piper, recounted a story with Pat Patterson. Truly tragic.
Pat Patterson doesn't like me.
Pat doesn't like you?
No. Okay. Back when again in the Olympic Auditorium, I was 21. I must be gay. You need to be a man about these things. I'm talking about myself. You need to be a man about these things. And since I was 15, I've been in this business. And when you're young in this business, it can be very difficult. It's a political thing. I get down. No. Hey, probably my fault. I got a pretty little kid, believe it or not, one time, and it just got awkward. It's all. He made it awkward. I did whatever. My bad. Were you forced to? No, my fucking no. It's just
Sorry, did it?
Did you realize how at the end he was like, shit, I'm getting in too deep. I need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That shit really makes me sad, dude. Seeing Roddy go through that. Just one of the best of all times, man. It's like, just seeing the pain on his face as he's going into it, just more and more, and it's hitting him harder and harder, man. It's some really fucked up shit happened back then. As we're talking about the Ring Boy scandal, it really does remind me. They were kind of almost onto it. Like they were talking about these like back on the Phil Donahue show in '92. I see YouTube clips of it. Like Dave Meltzer's literally on there talking about it. If that video had come out around that time, it would have added fuel to that fire. Like it would have completed complete burial of WWE. Yeah, we're only finding out about this shit after both these guys are dead. After Patton and Mel are dead, we're finding out about this shit. That's the fucked up part is that we can never see either of these guys come to justice for all the crimes they committed. Well, what's that old saying? Dead men tell no tales. Absolutely. Well, when Tony Atlas also had something to say about Pat Patterson, he was very forward with the male talent.
I didn't like that.
So that right there tells you there was a cultural molestation going on behind closed doors, and it wasn't just with a few wrestlers. It was with a lot of wrestlers. I would expect for just about 80% of the roster to have to deal with this shit, especially when you consider the other names. Another name I didn't mention either was Sir Lord Alfred Hayes was also known for doing shit like this. He would like willingly like whip his dick out and like slap wrestlers with it. Just like the homosexual culture backstage in WWF that we're just now finding out about is abhorrent. Well, to me, I think it is homosexual, but I think it's a lot of a power dynamic kind of thing. Where they're like prison. Yeah, like prison, like they're exerting their power, they're showing them who's boss. And yeah, I think what Tony Atlas was hitting on there was that, who the fuck were you gonna whine to? Vince McMahon, needs Pat Patterson way more than he needed Tony Atlas at the time. And that's the thing is that like it's as bad as WWE, and I'm not making any excuses for WWE. That is a fucking dirty company. It still is the same, I think. But yeah, a lot of this is, you hear similar things in a lot of other companies back around entertainment. Entertainment is the Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. I mean, OCK. I mean, shit. This is everywhere. It's in every form of entertainment, and it's just a matter of time before it gets exposed. I mean, just recently, what was it? Kenny Omega was exposing the former Stardom president. He started up that new venture with WWE, and this guy's known for doing fucking weird shit. This shit is starting to come to light. And Missy Hyatt, if you guys remember her, was speaking about it, said, my opinion on the Ring Boy scandal getting. Don't tell me nobody found it weird that Mel Phillips surrounded himself with children, shared hotel rooms with children. Why multi-million-dollar company would use underage labor to set up rings? How Mel would drive around for kids to be in ring crew. Disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And Missy Hyatt was around back then when she was in a business back then. So she heard things and maybe even seen things. I think she's seen some things. I just think she doesn't want to talk about it. But to absolve himself, Vince has to do this. So his attorney came forward and said, basically about allegations. They're absurd, defamatory, and utterly meritless. I mean, of course they would say that. They got to stick up for their client. But you got to look at the fact that a lot of dirty shit, especially with the General Grant shit going on, get steroid trial. Now you got the Ring Boy scandal being beefed up. It was already bad with Pat Patterson. Now you add Mel Phillips to that. It's not good. So you think that be in existence, And that's really going to be the whole smoking gun of the Ring Boy scandal is that thing. Because I don't think it's ever been seen to the general public. Ring Boy's actually getting molested. But if that video does exist, oh boy. Well, especially like we've shown, if they were making jokes about it on TV, that tells you that a lot of people back in the locker room knew about it. The only saving grace to a lot of the people that we named is that they're dead, so they can't be brought up on trial. That's the only saving grace Vince really has in all of this, is that you're right, dead man tell no tales. But I would hope that we provided enough evidence that some fucked up shit did happen back in the day. Whether Vince knew about it or not, some fucked up shit did happen. And we really need to keep this from ever happening again in the future. It shows you that to be a wrestler in the 70s and the 80s, you had to go through hell. You had to go through utter hell because you were on tour 6 to 7 days out of the week. Sometimes 2 performances a night. You were required to be in shape, hit the tanning bed. You had to travel from city to city. And then on top of that, you had to deal with abuse backstage, and you had to deal with abusive fans. Being a wrestler back in the day, you had to have thick skin. There was a reason why a lot of them probably died young and got addicted to drugs. It's because of the fucked up shit that they had to go through. PTSD. Yeah, the thing about the whole Ring Boy thing, that's never going to happen again. I mean, I'm never going to be hiring underage kids. And the thing now is that most kids have smartphones now, where they can go on Twitter and say, hey, I was just molested, or hey, or they can take a secret video of what's going on. Back then, cell phones were these big bricks that literally weighed like 2 or 3 pounds. That it was just like you could just dial a number and that's it. Back then, they didn't have the ability to get stuff to the public. They couldn't go to a newspaper. They couldn't go to a TV station. Who were they going to go to? And if they do anything, they could risk losing their job and then getting in trouble. So it's like, and maybe facing intimidation from WWE and they're fucking now. But the thing about it too is that what could they have done? Whereas now everything is so wide open now. I highly doubt you're ever going to see like a Ring Boy scandal happen again in wrestling. Well, but I mean, just recently we went through some weird shit. I mean, we covered it about a couple years ago. I'm sure you guys remember the TWR News edition, the Me Too edition, where we covered a lot of weird shit. I mean, just recently Drew Gulak returned back to professional wrestling, and he's recanting that old angle that he did where he was sexually abusing women. So this shit still happens. It's just not on. I don't think it's on a purely homosexual scale like it was back in the day. I think it's more so women getting it, and that's something that we've heard for the longest time. That if you're going to get somewhere in pro wrestling, you've usually got to fuck a trainer, or you've usually got to fuck a coach. I don't know when that practice changed, but I know that a lot of famous wrestlers, allegedly, did certain things to get a spot in the industry. That's just how it went. Especially back in the day, you look at a break-in. I don't know if it's the same thing nowadays, but I would still think that something like this exists to some level. I don't think it ever truly goes away. I think something interesting about all this guilt. I wonder how many of the top bookers in the business now, Triple H, have guilt over seeing this shit happen and saying nothing. I wonder, and then the way women were treated. Like, I wonder if the reason why we're seeing the product now is that a lot of them are fucking guilty about what happened in the past. And now imagine we suffer because of it. Can you imagine when we start digging into the Ashton Sorrow case? I'm just saying, this is something that's everywhere right now, and it's not just the Ring Boy. If we really start digging up on all the other stuff with WWE, we're going to find a lot of skeletons in those classic guys. So thank you for joining us for this Question Wrestling. NC.